speaking of art, you're a full-time artist, and we're gonna get to the leap that you once made. But I'm curious. This is our first time getting a chance to actually talk. So I've done a little bit of my research, but I want to have the audience have a chance to hear kind of a little bit of your story of, how art came to be an important part of your life, and then how you made it your full-time thing.
Oh man, what a great segue and introduction. I appreciate it. So, for everybody who is new to me, I'm Bijan Machen. I'm an abstract artist, and I consider myself a multidisciplinary, or some call it interdisciplinary artist, meaning that I work with multiple media and create in many different ways to basically tell any kind of story or make a point or just express energy. And a lot of my art is very expressive, but some of my work is based in social practice and transforming communities and being an educator and providing opportunities, being a mentor, things like that. I think that is just as much a creative practice as
Hmm.
making a painting, as designing a sweater or something. You know, it's all art for me, and everything is my canvas to express and influence. And I prefer to influence people in a positive way. And I talk a lot
Hmm.
about abundance, the abundance mentality, abundance energy, the fact that we are abundant as creative beings. The world is abundant, the universe is abundant. We're created to create. So I actually have a podcast myself called
Hmm.
Abundance Universe, and it's a brand. That's what this hat says right here. And it's an energy too, it's a mindset. And it combines with We Uplift the World, which is my education company. We Uplift the World is all about empowering artists and creative entrepreneurs to have
Hmm.
sustainable careers, to continue to learn and grow and continue to create new ways to monetize their talent as well and uplift the world in the process, tell meaningful stories and things like that. So that was all created out of me living my
Hmm.
why, and understanding what is my reason
Hmm.
for being, what is my ikigai. And this concept of ikigai is a Japanese concept, and it's originated in Okinawa, Japan, which is a place in Japan, a collection of beautiful islands, and it's an area known to have a lot of people to live over a
Hmm.
100 years old, and they tend to be happy people and live long, happy lives. And in studying why, one of the concepts that they live by is the idea of ikigai, which is to know their
Hmm.
reason for being. And I actually wrote a book about this topic. It's called What
Yeah, we're,
is
we're
My
gonna get into
Why?
that in a little bit.
How you can use ikigai to clarify your purpose. So you got it. So the idea is for me to, with that book, help other people just get a little bit closer to a more meaningful, more purposeful life through the understanding of this concept of ikigai. And I've studied this for a decade at this point, and have implemented it into my own life and made decisions that led me to now have a full-time lifestyle where I'm doing a lot of really awesome things that I love and living life in purpose, on purpose, by design, and just blessed and highly favored and very grateful for it, the opportunity to do it. But I also believe that anybody can do it, regardless of your past or regardless of your previous experience level. Anybody can live the life that they want to live and do anything that they want to do, um, within reason, of course. But you can be the superstar version of yourself. And that's my message. And me being an artist came from me doing that. I had always made art. I grew up playing saxophone and in like the city choir and making paintings and drawing and knitting and learning, taking cooking classes, and just anything creative was all about it. And always knew that art making was something that brought me a lot of joy and made me feel a lot of flow, put me in the zone, but wasn't raised to believe that being an artist is a real career choice. It's an extracurricular thing. You don't even get the same type of credits for it in school on your report card. It doesn't count as a real class or a core class. So that mentality, just that grading system, even creates a mentality that art is less valuable than your math class or your social studies class or your English class. And I think they're all valuable and they're all equal. And creativity is maybe even more important than some of the other topics that we learn, especially in higher level math, which I've never used any of the higher level math that I spent months and months, stressing over in school, have never had to use it in real life. So it's interesting, but I had to learn that, and through that process, I always would choose art through the process of maturing, through the process of self realization, through finding joy, through creating ups, through the downs. It was creativity and art that always was the answer for me. So I knew that I had to be an artist and kind of make that my full time thing and help other people who want to do the same.
Man, you just I just about threw out everything I jotted down to walk through because just that beginning, your intro, your story, and a lot of things you said really resonate with me. And I told you before we hit record, there are a lot of things I've read and heard you say that are very similar to me. So I talk about the idea of an authentic life, which is the one life that we were designed and created to bring to the world. And so many people don't know it. So my mission is to help as many people as possible find their authentic life and live it. And I do think that creativity is a big part of it and that we all are designed to create. And you mentioned it earlier that, you know, creativity extends beyond just being an artist. Like you can bring creativity to everything that is done, and we all have this in us. I, on the other hand, unlike you, growing up, was not creative. Like basketball was my first love, so I would say my creativity would come out on the court, but I wasn't artistic. I didn't view myself as creative, and I didn't unlock the inner creator in me until I was probably in my 30s when I started blogging and then podcasting. And then from there, it's just been like it's been wide open. And I've seen what tapping into that creativity has meant for me from a personal growth standpoint, from a business standpoint, but also from a happiness standpoint. Um, so I share all of that
Right.
to ask you, like, how did you make all of this connection? Because to me, it doesn't seem like you just now stumbled on this. It sounds like you've known these truths your whole life, where I think we all know them as little kids, and then we get into school and we get institutionalized and we lose all that. And many of us never rediscover it until they come across someone like you who puts it in front of them. How did you make all these connections? Do you remember? Is it just
Right.
something you've always known, or was there like an aha moment?
Yeah, well, it's both, right? So there's a collection of aha moments and it's really decisions when those moments occur. Those realizations, those epiphanies as we call them. When those occur, there's an opportunity to make a decision every time you have one of those. And that's when it can become a life-changing moment or an aha moment is when we kind of allow that and lean into that and maybe even dive into it or run into it. That's when those moments can become valuable because these moments actually happen a lot the more we become aware of them. And then the more we become action takers on impulses and great ideas, oh, I think I should start a podcast. Bingo. Here we go. Thank you for taking action on your idea to start a podcast, Justin. Right. And that's going to create a chain reaction of other positive events for yourself and other people. But when we decide to lean into those impulses, oh, I want to do that. Yeah, that would be a cool idea. We have to discern and then decide, right? So there's discernment and then there's decision making. Those are kind of the two like core functions that drive my everyday. And I think if most people are being conscious and aware, they'll realize that those are like two of the most important things. Those are two of the things we should have learned in school, Justin. Those are two of the things that we teach the students at We Uplift the World Foundation. When we go into schools, we teach students about decision making, about what is my why in Ikigai, and choose classes, choose a school, choose friends, choose relationships that align with that version of yourself that you know you want to become, not necessarily what everybody else is telling you they think you should do. Now, we all need advice and mentors, but we also have to understand how to make decisions for ourselves and be comfortable with that so that we can live a life by design, as you say, you know?
Yeah, I think about like as a as a parent trying to, you mentioned you take this into the schools and you teach kids, like trying to get my boys to realize all of this and having to kind of come to grips with, I can put it in front of them, I can exhibit it and let them see it, but they also have to figure it out on their own. I don't know if this has been your experience as you help people. Like we can only talk about it so much, but it doesn't usually take until they have their own aha moment. If we can help them find that aha moment sooner through your work, through your podcast, then that's great. But until they have that moment themselves, it it's gonna go over. They're not ready to receive it.
Right. And people have to live their own life. You're 100% right. And there also should just be more attention on like decision
Mm-hmm.
making and choice and discernment. Like as a class, like that should be a class, like decision making class. Like as you get to a certain age, um, like some people could even call it
Mm-hmm.
prioritization,
Mm-hmm.
priority management. You know, that could be like the formal title, Priority Management 101, if we want to make it a formal course. But just understanding for me in my personal goals, my personal trajectory, my personal career, my role, my task, whatever we're dealing with here, let's look at in order what are the top priorities for me to achieve at the highest level my
Mm-hmm.
desired results. And we all have desires and things, but not a lot of us take the time to really map out steps
Mm-hmm.
to achieve those results. And I liken it to the process of like writing a business plan, but creating a personal
Mm-hmm.
plan for ourselves during our personal meditation time or your morning me time. That's one of the terms I like to use is morning me time. You give in the morning to have your time where you dedicate it to yourself and your own personal development. This could happen in the evening, lunchtime, whenever. But really
Mm-hmm.
making that a priority. It's something I used to hear people say as I would listen to podcasts and interviews is like, make sure you are journaling every day and writing down what you're grateful for and writing down the things that you want to create and what kind of change do you want to
Mm-hmm.
create in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Script that out as if it's already your reality and
Mm-hmm.
then read that. And it's like, oh, you hear people say that, but it's not until you actually try it for a while that you realize
Mm-hmm.
this actually works. Like I can train myself to perform and behave in a way that is awesome and
Mm-hmm.
designed by me as opposed to impulsive and dependent on the
Mm-hmm.
actions of others or so forth. And it's just leaning more into that aspect of self-realization. But yeah, man, keeping it
Mm-hmm.
fun, that's really the why for me. Is keeping everything fun and free and trying to inspire other people to do the same.
How much of your decision making process over the years as you've kind of learned and realized these truths, how much of your decision making process is intuition?
It's a good balance, maybe 50% intuition and then 50% like logic and like actual like writing it down a list and just looking at it and saying, all right, let me do this first. Or, you know, I can liken it to choosing a school. I played Division 1 football. I had over 30 Division 1 scholarship offers coming out of high school as a middle linebacker. And I really had to weigh out all my options and make a great decision because you only get to choose one, right? I couldn't like go to all the schools, right? You got to choose just one. So I made a list and listed out each school into like a chart, like a spreadsheet. Each school that were my top schools. Like there were some schools that I didn't want to go to for whatever reason. Maybe they weren't in a region that I was interested in, or the program wasn't aligned with, my playing style, what have you. But my top schools, I made a list of those, and then I said, what schools have the best academics and also the best academic options for what I'm interested in. And at the time, it was biomedical engineering to be a neurosurgeon, but also engineering, period. And like the sciences, love technology, and all these things like that. So it was looking at what schools had the majors, because it was like it was always academics first for me, and that's just how I was raised. And another factor I'll speak on is having great parents. I'm sure you're one of them, so shout out to your kids. They're very blessed to have a great dad who's like just thinking about these things and having these kind of conversations. But I had great parents who always encouraged me to do anything and believe in myself. So, mom and dad, shout out to you. And they supported everything I wanted to do, and they still do. It's not like they just give me money when I need it. Like that kind of like stopped when I left the house, but it's everything else. It's like everything else that you would need to be able to believe that you can go and move forward. It's like, hey, you want to go to art school, do it. You want to go work at this company, do it. You want to make this art, we believe in you. You can do it. Like it was that kind of energy. So that really helps too. And then it's like, hey, here's my experiences too. Doesn't mean it won't work for you, but this is just my experience. And if you want to do that, seek mentorship here. That was always wise. And choose a school where you can get a good academic education because football is temporary. Other really great advice from both of the parents, right? So made the chart and decided looking at the academics, then looking at the athletics. So what school had the best academic programs and opportunities, could put me where I wanted to be, and which school also had a great football team, a tradition of good football. At that time, Georgia Tech had been to a bowl game, I think, the last 12 years in a row. So I look at that as having a level of accomplishment, FCS, top school, being able to play with a program that can consistently do that. Also, at this time, my favorite music artist is Gucci Mane, so 1017. So Georgia Tech, it's right in the middle of Atlanta. It's like look at all the different things that are aligning. Excellent school. I've always loved technology, and this is one of the best schools for what I want to do. And I can be creative here, and it's in a place that aligns with my social importance too, because that was another consideration. That was on the list too. It wasn't just school football and ignore the other thing. And that's another piece of what is my why. When you look at the Ikigai, there's four qualities of life that the Ikigai includes: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and then what you can be paid for. But the first two, we have to start there. What you love and what you're good at. We have to start with those because sometimes we start with the other two, and that can lead to a lifestyle of disappointment and dissatisfaction and unfulfillment. And I've been down that road. So starting with the inside of who am I, what do I want, and why, and then kind of like creating from that place and moving forward. Like that's the path.
So I gotta know, you wanted to be a neurosurgeon. How did you make it from there to full time artist?
So got into school, and I was a part of this program called the National Youth Leadership Forum on Medicine when I was in high school, and we took a trip with a bunch of students from different schools in the U.S. and we were all interested in medicine, and we like basically shadowed a bunch of like resident doctors at Georgetown and in DC and at these different schools and visited hospitals and things like that. And it was very interesting. It was an amazing experience. And I was, honored and selected amongst one of very few students in the country, one of the only students out of the state, out of my state to go. And I felt just really awesome to be there. And, it also showed me a lot about the lifestyle that I would have to commit to in order to do this, to go this route. Being a doctor is a big commitment. Shout out to all the doctors and nurses and people that do that. We need you, and we wouldn't make it without you all. But also, the commitment level is serious. The commitment to just studying and living a certain lifestyle. And also, as much as I appreciated it, I saw that it may not be the lifestyle that I wanted to commit to. So it encouraged me to explore I would say after about a semester and a half, I started to look at or not even a semester, because I started in summer school, and I did started all through summer school, and then like did the fall, and then the next semester, I was just like, is this really the path I want to go down? It was some deep introspective level of, is this really the path I want to go down? Because I'm still at this time playing football and encouraged that I'm just thinking about what I want to do after football's over. That's the mentality, is like, at that level, every single one of us believes we're going to play in the NFL. If we're playing in college and we're a top recruit out of high school, and you're getting a lot of love coming into college, you believe we're going to go to the NFL. Every single one. And you should, to all the young athletes out there. If that's what you want to do, you should believe it. And the more you believe it and the more you do the things necessary, the higher your likelihood, right? So there's that. But it was like, if this doesn't work out, this is going to be the thing I do, right? And I said, even if football, when it's over, when I'm done playing, I don't think I would want to do this, because I got a peek at it, a sneak peek. So that's another piece of advice for anybody listening. It's like, if you think you want to do something, go check it out. Go shadow somebody that does it. Go work for an entrepreneur for a week and say, hey, can I make videos for you and create content for you for a week and just shadow you and help you out with whatever. If you think that person does something that you want to do, you could do the same with businesses and companies. Get an internship, work somewhere, do a short-term contracting job. There's all kind of things you can do, but test out what it is you think you want to do. Give it a shot, try it out, do a lot of research, and then go for it. Make sure that you want to make the sacrifices that are required to do that thing before you make the big commitments. That's probably good advice for anything in life, any
Oh, but
kind of
there's
commitment.
tons of great advice in there. I mean, I talk about often how part of our pursuit of finding our authentic life requires us to experiment and explore, like seeing what it's like to be different versions of ourselves. So exploring an interest we may have, maybe it's interning, maybe it's what you just suggested, maybe it's just picking up a camera and going taking photos and then going to Adobe and editing it. Like, do you like the process of photos? Do you like the process of editing? If you do, keep going. If not, now you know, and come back. But I want to highlight something
Exactly.
for listeners and watchers or viewers that I think is really really important, is that you had and still have it, I can tell, an insane amount of self-awareness. So as a college student, to have the self-awareness to realize this isn't the lifestyle that I'm going to want. This isn't the type of thing that I want to put a commitment to, that it's going to require me to do my best, and to realize that like most people don't have that level of self-awareness. And I think self-awareness is really really important if you're going to find your ikigai or find your authentic life. So I just want to point out that I think
Right.
a huge asset that you had and have always had just from this conversation is self-awareness and how important that is. So if you don't have that self-awareness, start practicing and being aware of it and strengthen that skill so you can pick up on these things. And I've personally found that as my self-awareness picks up, then you mentioned earlier kind of how things fell in alignment. The Georgia Tech in Atlanta, Gucci Man, like everything lined up. Those are some signs that people may not have missed. And I'm a big believer in the universe is giving us signs all the time and that we miss them. And once you know how to pick them up, like they're all over the place all the time, that kind of guides you to where you're supposed to be going. Um, Sticking with the universe,
Right.
I'm curious, since you had an interest in neuroscience, like your views and thoughts on like the law of attraction and kind of like those universal laws. Are those things that you believe in, have experienced? Like what is that? How does that stuff play into ikigai and your beliefs?
Absolutely. 100% a believer in all the forces of the universe. 100% spiritual. I'm a Christian and grew up in church. So I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ 100%. However, I also believe that there are other really awesome and blessed people that God chose and selected to come to earth to enlighten others, right? So I'm not necessarily of the belief that anybody that doesn't believe in Jesus Christ is wrong. I do not believe that. Uh, I believe that I love everybody, no matter what. So that's kind of the stance that I've always been raised with. My parents and my grandparents and my family preach and teach from that perspective of like oneness, non-denominational, unconditional love, and being open and receiving to the love of others and giving that. Also, identifying gifts that we can share. That was important to my family at a young age, is just identifying what makes you special and creating things to identify and express yourself and find what makes you special. Find the things that you love and the things that you create well with, and experience and explore and experiment. I was always allowed to try different sports and different instruments and just exposed to so many different things, and that's important, you know. The decision making, I think, doesn't really have to come into place until people are in high school, and depending on their maturity level, then there's different levels of decisions that prepare. And then one piece of advice for any parents out there is talk to your kids about money sooner. Make sure they know how to do their taxes. Make sure they understand what bills are. Make sure they understand credit and that credit is good and how to use it. And make sure they understand investing in stocks and cryptocurrency. And don't think they have to wait till they're older to have the conversation. That's one piece of advice that I think anybody may would probably agree with, is just get more money conversations and like financials. Money is more important than some people make it out to be. And school too. Like if you're on the board of a school or in charge of curriculums, please teach the kids more about money. Bring in more managers, financial planners, investors, and entrepreneurs who've made hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in their own businesses, to teach the students how to do stuff with money and how to manage it. Bring in tax professionals. Like that's important, and that should be happening at a younger age, as young as possible, like for the kids, so it becomes a habit. Just like we know how to use the bathroom and tie our shoes, we need to know how to win with credit, and how to own assets, and how to buy real estate, and how to leverage resources. So that's just a piece of advice for anybody out there with
Uh,
children.
I would I
As
I
a
would
child
totally agree with the
myself.
financial literacy need. I mean, as an advisor, like I see what not having financial literacy could mean to people, and I think that in addition to the technical skills, the understanding credit and investing and all that, I also think the non-technical side of money improves if you have those early conversations. What I mean by that is like, yes, money is money. It's a tool. I think it's more of a tool. It empowers you. It allows you. It can bring you freedom and allows you to move through. People who say money doesn't buy happiness, like I don't believe that's fully true. Um, but money doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
guarantee you're going to be happy. And understanding like what money means to you, and we all have these money scripts that we kind of inherit as kids from, sometimes from our parents, but sometimes from other things. As you get older, doing some internal reflection to understanding why do you view money the way do you do? What does money actually mean to you? And if you can understand the psychology of your own money stories, that will help you as well. It could help you enhance the good skills you have. It could also help you fix the bad ones, but it's part technical and part kind of non-technical as well. But the sooner we talk about it, the better. I would totally agree with that.
I like that.
That's one advantage and
hundred
so that's one
percent.
advantage my boys have is me being in the profession. Like they've grown up around it. They have investment
That's
accounts. I've
great.
let them pick stocks, and we've talked about it, and they even have some Bitcoin. Like I've
That's
got into that with
perfect.
them as well. So I think there's a lot of truth to that.
That's so valuable, because now they
Hmm.
have a comfort level around money that they just grow up with it. It's comfortable. I'm supposed to dollar cost average and make some money every year. Like it's just a normal thing. Like that's such an important thing. And then when you get into like owning real estate, property management, and just invest having a new investment property, picking up a new property every year, things like that. Those are the things that folks should be teaching in school, like that we should have as mandatory, not the trigonometry. Like, it's like not for me at least. I mean, Elon Musk might need the trigonometry. If you're building rockets, if you're going to space, please take your advanced calculus and trigonometry. Please, like, study hard. But for those of us who are not, it's like focus on the life skills, focus on understanding yourself. Like you said, the self awareness, and understanding what you love, what your gifts are, and having a strong work ethic, and knowing how to put in effort and have perseverance and how to have a positive perception no matter what's going on, and a positive self image. These are the intangibles, you know, these are the things that make life really rich. And like you said, money is just some cherry on top. But when you can master the inner game, which I think my parents did a great job of helping me with the spiritual side of things and knowledge of self and working really hard for everything that I get, then we also can, the money side can be learned, right? It may be harder at an older age to manage the knowledge of self and the self awareness and the confidence and being feeling good in your own skin and things like that. So, you know, those are the core skills, the intangibles that really matter. But when you bundle them all together, it makes life really sweet. And these are the things that I'm grateful for, is our ability to learn and grow it at any rate, you know, and adapt, change our circles, change the podcasts we're listening to and the books that we're reading, and literally transform our mindset and shift our paradigm into creating a whole new type of existence. And I've done it many different times. I went from being, you know, an athlete who did art on the side to a corporate professional working at different companies and tech companies who did art on the side, to also teaching and running my own business, and then selling art as the main thing and making that a priority, and learning how to sell my music and how to sync licensing work, and how can I sell more paintings, or how can I get my clothing into stores, and um, developing relationships with collectors and things like this. This was all a process that was learned through wanting to always do this thing that I was kind of just looking at as a side thing and doing in the background, but always working on. I was actually putting in my 10,000 hours with this more than some of the other things, by always just, hey, every day I'm going to be drawing on something. Every day I'm going to be writing and sketching out ideas and writing songs, or whatever it is, practicing an instrument for a little bit every day. It actually makes that the main thing. So then when my mindset and my paradigm shifted from believing this as a side thing to knowing that I can make this the main thing, which came through visiting museums, hanging out with actual artists. I have a lot of friends who are really high level artists and show their work in museums and galleries and make a lot of money from their pieces. And I talk to them. And that's another thing. If that's what you want to do, go be around people who are doing it, and it'll shift your paradigm. It changes your belief. You know, that's a lot of what I apply. So it's like the family, the spiritual belief, me living life and being out in the world on my own. You know, traveling to Europe just by myself for a couple months and moving around. You know, everybody should do one of those trips if you can. And not having a bunch of money either, just a regular amount. Like so, like being crafty, you know, being thrifty, being creative. It's fun, but it's like it teaches you a lot. Being in a place where nobody really speaks your language, and you have to adapt and make food and survive and get around and protect yourself. All these different things, it builds character, right? It allows you to determine who are you when no one else is around, when no one else is looking, when no one else is telling you what to do. Who am I? When no one else even speaks the same language as me, what am I doing here right now? Write it down, you know? And that's why in the book, you'll see I have my three favorite questions for self awareness is, who am I? What do I want? And why? Those three questions. Who am I? What do I want? And why? You can replace what do I want with what am I creating? What would I like to create? But essentially, you know, who am I? Write whatever comes out and write it for a few minutes. And what do I want to create? What do I want? What would I like to have? Is that a career? Is that a thing? Is that a new habit? Is that a new lifestyle? Is that whatever it is? New identity? Just decide what change would I like to create? How would I like to go from where I am to where I want to be? And then the most important part is the why. Having a reason for doing it. I think that's those are the three-step keys to transformation.
I think the key to the why is to find your why. I think a lot of people stop. I have found that the real why is like 3 or 4 layers deep. And usually the first why is
Right.
influenced by someone else. So as you get more self-reflective and, getting deeper, maybe you get there quicker, but like, you know, why do you want to be a doctor? Well, that's what my parents told me I was supposed to do. Well, why do you really want to? And then at the end of the day, you find out you don't. So, like, the more you get to know yourself, I think answering that why becomes easier because you're answering that why for your authentic self as opposed to the person you've been told to be, and you're answering why because that's what you think is supposed to be. I would just not to
Exactly.
change your definition, but to add my flavor to what I think is really important on the why is that it's got to be your why.
Nah, that's it. That's it. You hit it on the head. Like it's 100% independent of anybody else's opinions or ideas about who they think you are. Because everyone else's opinion is an outside opinion. Not that those aren't valuable. They are. But they are not more valuable than your opinion of yourself and your own self-image and how you feel when you look in the mirror every day. That is the most important. And we have to spend more time there. And even when you think about the thoughts that we repeat to ourselves, some folks may repeat what somebody else said about them in their head over and over again instead of repeating what they tell themselves or what they want to be true over and over again. We got to reverse that. And your self belief, even if you got to do affirmations out loud in the mirror, looking at yourself, whatever you say about yourself has to be more true than what other people might have said. And it can be some negative trauma from years ago that some person that was hurting said, and it's repeating for years in the head, but creating subconscious behaviors that don't support our highest good. And I realized there was some of that happening too. And those blocks can definitely be cleared out and removed and replaced, with good energy and flow and positivity and new belief and new confidence. So a lot of that goes back to the why and our reason for being as well. Is like I've decided who I am and who I want the world to be, and how I'm going to show up, how I want the world to see me. Therefore, there's certain things that I will allow and accept, and certain things I won't. Certain beliefs and behaviors that I'll participate in, and certain things I just won't subscribe to. You know, and me and you, we're winners, and the winners always win. That's a belief. I'm a winner, and the winners always win. And if you say that to yourself when any circumstance arises, you're going to approach it with the mindset of a winner, especially when it's become a belief,
Your beliefs end up
you
bringing it
know?
to you. It doesn't always bring it exactly the way you want, but it brings the winning. You're not going to win with a losing mindset, and you're not going to lose with a winning mindset.
Right. And things don't always happen the way we
Hmm.
want. Sometimes it's better. It's better that way. And we
Yep.
realize it in retrospect that the way I wanted it to happen may not have been the best way. But I'm glad I know
Hmm.
now and it happened the way it did. And also, that mindset allows me to be
Hmm.
super honest with myself. One of my favorite authors and
Hmm.
coaches is Tim Grover.
Yep.
He wrote the book Winning, and he used to coach Michael Jordan and a
And
bunch
Kobe.
of
Don't
other
forget
greats.
Kobe.
And of course, the Mamba, we love Kobe, R.I.P. Kobe. But yeah, work with all the greats. And, just that idea of affirming and believing that
Hmm.
you're a winner. Not to say I'm better than anyone else, but in terms of me versus all the previous versions of myself, I'm going to
Hmm.
choose the number one version, the highest and best version that represents that superstar version of myself. I'm going to choose that and choose to believe and adopt that. And that, it takes some people say you got to be a little crazy, to like to believe it, or you got to be able to psych yourself out or
Hmm.
hypnotize yourself. And it's like maybe a little bit, but the better we get at kind of belief and being able to transform belief and use our imagination, I think the easier it becomes to move in and out of
Hmm.
these manifestations and these creations in the
I would
physical.
echo that. I don't know how it became to be, but I have always had that optimistic mindset and belief in myself. And I mean, I attribute it beginning with
Yep.
my parents, like them instilling that in me and being behind me, and same way your parents supporting me, But then it also just became a point where, like, maybe I never set my goals high enough to fail, but I can't think of very many things that I have failed at, and in those shortcomings, it was learning for the next big thing. So I can set out for anything, and I believe I'm going to do it. Like, I've never tried it, but opening a restaurant is
Right.
supposed to be one of the hardest businesses in the world. Like, I genuinely believe if I want to start a restaurant, I could do it and it would succeed. Like, I don't just yeah,
It's going to
I
be a
believe it,
great
and
restaurant. Yeah, it's going to be
I don't
very
know where it
successful.
comes to. So one of the things you mentioned earlier, I grew up Catholic, and I consider myself more spiritual now. But same thing, still believe in God, believe in Jesus, all those stories. Like mine kind of goes where I think where the institution of the churches is kind of where things get a little squirrely. So I believe in all of that, but
Yeah.
I've read enough in the area like there's some beliefs that we have like our souls have multiple lives, which is not what I was grew up learning, and I'm trying to figure out like what are my beliefs. But one of the things that make me believe that our soul's purpose in this life is to learn for the next attempt is that I maybe I came into this world understanding the winning mentality, understanding optimism in that belief because that's always been my disposition, but it wasn't really
Right.
like it wasn't taught. I wasn't told to. It's just naturally who I am. So a little bit of a tangent, but it was something you sparked in my mind that I just wanted to share with people.
That's a major key, and I think that is true, especially if you
Hmm.
believe that and you feel that to be true. I definitely believe there's truth to that. That it's
Hmm.
the journey of the soul, and it's about self mastery and enlightenment and self realization at the
Hmm.
highest level. As we move into
Hmm.
new dimensions, sometimes we can come back to this world in another form to experience
Hmm.
different kinds of challenges. But the core of our being and something that we just know to be inherently true about ourselves, that
Hmm.
carries with us, throughout every stage and every level and every dimension. So I 100% believe that if you feel that, then that's probably
Hmm.
at the core 100% the
I want to
truth.
get back to this dimension real quick in the Bijan story before we get to the book. I want to make sure we spend some time in the book, but I feel like I would be doing a disservice to people who are doing that thing they enjoy on the side and have yet to figure out how to make the paradigm shift, as you called it, which I love that terminology. Like, so you had a corporate job, benefits, salary, security is what we attribute to that. Although we know working for a corporation isn't as secure as you might think, but you had all those things, and then
Right.
you decided you made the paradigm shift to go all in on your art, which was your passion. You shared how you explored, you hung out with other artists, but like were there were there actionable things that you did to set yourself up to not fall victim to the fear of the unknown that people have? Like, I guess what my hope is that through your story of leaving the corporate job to do something and bet on yourself, something in that experience and that transition will help somebody else do it.
Well, there's a number of things, we talk about in the book, so I highly recommend first thing is grab a
Oh, I
copy of
already
What is
we
My
haven't
Why
recorded the intro yet, but I've already
and
plugged that in
and
the
read.
intro. So they're gonna get the book and the link, and that'll be the show notes, of
Okay, okay,
course.
cool. So, that's what I recommend first to anybody. And Justin, picked up a copy as well. So thank you for that. But it's that to me is my gift that kind of like packs up all the tools that somebody would need to kind of help make that decision. But I would say too, do a lot of writing. Just just writing as a core habit. Writing daily as a core habit about whatever you want to write about, whatever's inside and on your mind, put it on paper and then look at it. And sometimes you'll be surprised. Like, oh, that was in my head. Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, when you really get in the zone and you're just subconsciously flowing, you get in that state of consciousness, just write as much as you can about whatever you want for as long as you can every day. That's kind of the first thing because that will give you some inkling as to here's the next steps that I should line up on my journey and path to where I'm actually supposed to be going. I may not see the end destination super clearly, but I at least know the road and the highway I want to be on and the vehicle I want to be taking. Think about that too, because I've also shifted my vehicle, from doing education as like nonprofit work to paid. courses and paid keynotes and speeches and things like that. Um, Both really valuable, but I actually give more value when I get paid, and I realize that, right? So how do we have a balance of creating sustainability and helping people? There's levels to that, but I had to first decide that's what I wanted to do, and that came through just ideas and ideas. So getting super clear on what it is I want to do, so I don't waste my time, because that's your most valuable asset. Get super clear on what you want to create. Can I get a clear vision of the next goal, whether it's a career, a lifestyle, some kind of shift, a move? If you want to move from one area of the country to another area of the country, how can I actually make this happen and make it work for my family, make it work for everybody? How can I make this a realistic thing to where it's it's now the new reality and everybody's winning. It's a win-win-win and we love it, and it's like it's better than I even thought actually. You can actually plan that out, and it may take a year or two, it may take a couple months, but you can actually script out how it's going to happen and line things up so that all the puzzle pieces fall into place and all the people you need come in at the right time. But I say decide what you want and like map it out backwards. Some people call it reverse engineering, but I'm an engineer myself, but I just really love looking at where I got a few things I'm mapping out right now in my course of my life's journey, but it's like nothing is forced at the same time because I've chosen a path and a vehicle where I can just kind of plug in anything, right? I've created some variability, some flexibility, and some flow, some hybridity to my model to where there are multiple different income streams. There's investments. So that's one thing is understanding investments. I also trade crypto and forex, and I have the skill of knowing how to trade. And I trade crypto too, so I can turn on an app and I can make money just with knowledge I have, whether the stocks are up or down. So I recommend investing in a skill where you're in the know of money flow. You want to be in the knowing of where money is flowing. I just made that up too, so we can coin that. I might turn it into a song later. But we're going to be in the knowing of where money is flowing at all times. And that's going to keep us going upward and more abundantly. So that's the idea, is to have some different things that you can do, some skills. There's real estate, wholesaling, which I've been doing for a number of years as well. You can kind of turn on different things to make money if I need to. But then I also have art for sale. I have commissions going. I have books for sale. I have courses. I have things on Amazon store. So there's different points, different touch points. Everything that I create though stems to my core one thing. And I recommend everybody have your one thing. There's a great book by Gary Keller called The One Thing. Highly recommend it. But you should always be creating some people won't call it an umbrella, or what is your overarching one thing, your big brand, your big idea that all of the things that you do can contribute to. So whether I'm making art, whether I'm doing a book, whether I'm making a video, whether I'm creating an education program, it all is about we uplift the world. It's about connecting people and creating positive stuff. Cool art, media, vibes, we uplift the world. You, me, Justin, right now we're uplifting the world. You know? And then Abundance Universe is a podcast. That's a We Uplift the World production. Lambo Mach Music. Lambo Mach makes positive electronic abstract music. It's uplifting the world, right? So it's all, these are different brands, different companies, different entities, if you will, but all under this one idea that I can say is my brand of We Uplift the World. I'm an artist, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an educator that's uplifting the world. That's how I kind of mapped out my why and brought it all into synchronicity. So there are things that I know how to do to keep the boat afloat, if you will. But also, I have some time and space to experiment with developing new products, working on selling more of this thing or that thing, or creating some new art and seeing how people respond to that. Creating space for all these different pockets and still making sure I have my morning me time in the morning, you know. And I actually created a process of art and wellness. And I just taught a workshop this morning to a group of high level attorneys. But I do workshops for all kind of business professionals, entrepreneurs, corporate professionals about how to use abstract art, different breathing techniques and mindfulness techniques to reduce stress, create more relaxation and flow, and more abundance and energy in your life, in your day to day, and also kind of just rearrange your habits. And it's really interesting because I'm able to show how taking some simple tools, people can do some things that allow them to really learn more about themselves and create a mentality and belief about themselves that allows them to then develop and design a lifestyle that supports a full-time fulfillment where there's like no moments that I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, which is where I live right now. I live in the neighborhood of 100% in purpose, on purpose, loving every moment. Everything that comes up just falls right into place. It's like fits right into the schedule, and there's only pleasant surprises these days. It took some time, but it's really awesome, and I'm gonna keep that energy going, right? But how can I also create media, art, books, different things that allow other people to see this abundance mentality and abundance energy and harness it, and that is the why for me.
I love everything about that you just said. I'm not going to go into mine, but I have my umbrella, if you will. It's the authentic life. So I'm going to come over when you're in
Nice.
Columbus. I'm going to come see you. We'll hang out, and I'll share with you all of the different ways that I'm bringing or going to be bringing the authentic life to more people. But it's very similar to what you just said, and so I think that that makes a lot of sense, and makes a big impact on the world. And it again goes back to you getting to do what you love in every aspect and doing it in a variety of different ways, which falls in line with the creativity that you
Yep.
exhibit. Well, let's get into the book because I know you've got somewhere to go in a little bit, and I want to make sure we hit on the
Let's
book
do it.
because I want people to go out and buy it because I think it's going to be something that will help, and it's a cool book. The first question I have for you, like I'm not. Well, I say this so it makes it true. I always say I'm not good at design, but I know good design. So like to sit down and design a book is not my strength,
You
but I
are.
know a good design when I see it. And again, that's self-talk. But my question is the meaning behind the green. Why'd you choose bright green? I know that isn't just a. I doubt that's a random color. So what's the significance of the bright green?
Yeah, so it's one of my favorite colors. Green represents life and high energy to me, and also the opportunity for us to realize newness. And if you look at leaves and trees, things that turn green, things that grow green, it's an example of that. And this book is about a seed being planted for your abundant growth. That's exactly what this book is about. Is to help the individual reader in their process. It's not a traditional book. It's more of an art and experience type of book, and it's best to have an owner and a user, and you make it yours, and you create with it, and you fill up every page until you get closer to the next version of yourself, until you got to get a new journal, until you got to get the abundance alert, which is actually going to be the next book in the series. It's What is My Why? And my second book is Abundance Alert, which is a term that I trademarked, which is just an expression of joy, gratitude, and good energy when something abundant is going on, when abundance is coming into your life. It's an abundance alert. When you're creating something that's awesome and it's positively impacting people, it's an abundance alert. So that's coming soon, and I'll make sure
No,
you get a copy of that. Of course,
I
I'm gonna sign it for you.
I am the type of person. Well, fine, you can do that. I'm gonna order one. I'm the type of person that I know that like
I got you.
my one book purchase doesn't make or break your success. But as a creator and as somebody who has made products, I know what it means to see the register ring on Shopify or the Amazon. So I'm always somebody like one of my personal goals when it comes to money is to continue to grow my income so I can frivolously support people. I want to support the people that come into my life that align with me that I like, even if it's just buying one book or two books. I'll still order one on Amazon so you get the register, but I would love to have a signed copy for sure as well.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. That support means a lot. And that's a message to anybody out there. If you have discretionary income, use it to support an artist, a friend of yours, or somebody in your network that makes art. Even a 20 or $30 book, that's life changing because it's not that the amount of money is a life changing amount, but the idea and the energy. You decided to part with this 40 or $50 to believe in my idea, to support something I spent months and months manifesting. You believed in it enough to take money out of your account and share it with me in order to experience this art piece. That exchange of energy, that's that's what we live for. The creativity. It's not about the amount. It's about the exchange of energy and appreciation for my art, for something that I created and in hopes that it could benefit someone. And it's like I just decided I've given out tons of free things, but I decided I'm gonna make a book and sell the book because this is gonna be really valuable. And it has months and years of intention built into it. And just the idea that somebody believes in me enough to go ahead and purchase a copy and put it to use, give it a read, that energy exchange right there is the fulfillment of being an artist for me. It's about energy and ideas,
Hmm.
not about a dollar amount. So
Yeah, for
thank
sure.
you.
Well, one of my favorite creatives, his name's Jack Butcher, design guy. He has a company called Visualize Value, and he has been killing it with the like NFT space. NFTs at Christie's, Beeple's retweeted him and stuff. But before he really got
I'm familiar. I've heard of
so
Jack Butcher. Oh yeah, because
yeah,
I do
so
NFTs too. So
I followed him for when
love
his
Jack's work.
first release was like a daily planner that you printed out. It was the first thing he ever put out. So I followed him for a long time, but I will never forget he said put it on Twitter like if you try to sell something, make $1 on the internet, and it's life changing. If you can sell one thing on the internet, it will change your life. Just from the standpoint of like to your point that
Right,
exchange of energy. So rather than sell something to have it change your life, like try to sell something online so you can feel the reciprocal feeling of what it's like to put something out and somebody buy it, even if it's only for $1. Because like you said, it's not really about the money; it's
right.
about the exchange of energy and what that means.
Somebody believes in this thing, in this idea, in this
I
product
can't
that
wait
I
to
made.
share. I can't wait to
It's
share some
huge.
ideas with some products. I don't want to put it out there yet, but a couple of things that I'm going to do. Hopefully in the next year. Same thing, like things I want to create, I want to put out. I don't care how many I sell. I'm actually going to make them high ticket items for what they are and have a free version that's accessible. But like, it's like Nipsey Hussle's $100 mixtape. Like I want to see if people would be proud to pay
Right,
a higher price for something that I create, knowing there's a free version if they just want the information, or do they want to be a part of this movement that
right,
I'm doing. So I got that to share with you as well.
right. And I love that. That's the energy of Web3 for me. Like I feel like a lot of the NFT culture, I've been in crypto space since like 2017. So I feel like a lot of the NFT culture is about that energy. It's like I have an idea, I'm gonna put it out, and the people that want to support it can like participate, and now we can like track who the supporters are. We can actually build community around the people that believe in specific ideas, and we really want to come together and build community around it. So I love that just whole ethos and aura. It's a very we uplift the world type of energy, and it just supports more creativity. It you doing you supporting an artist, you supporting Tony, you supporting me, that actually spreads to more people than you may even know. And then you may get something in a book or a painting, or somebody sees the painting at your place, and then they get inspired, and then they make somebody else's day better in their sphere of the world because of something that you invested in. It's like, oh, this is producing joy over and over again. You might see one affirmation from the book, and it's like, man, that one affirmation, I remember that at a time that gave me the confidence to then just close a huge deal, you know, and now we're on a roll, and it's actually creating abundance, and that's the whole idea, the abundance mentality and the abundant artist, and that's when we have an abundance alert.
So I want to read a couple quotes from the book
Yeah.
that I liked, maybe get some commentary on it, and then let you get going to the next thing you got going on. So early on, there was something I read that really hopped out because I've said similar things to it, but You wrote, "The world needs your unique contribution, that thing only you can offer. Stop surviving and start living life on your own terms. You'll be surprised when you choose to use the strength you didn't know you had." And I thought that, like, that's authentic life all over it. So, I mean, you've hit a lot on that, but I don't know, like, when you hear that back, what do you think, other than the big smile I see?
Man, it warms my heart to hear you read it because I think you might be the first person I've heard read that to me, that specific line. So, you know, hearing that for the first time, hearing you read that to me and you telling me that it aligns with your authentic life, man, it's like that's an example of what we just talked about. You know, um, it feels like the fulfillment and the joy of what I wrote the book for is resonating with someone. You know, and it's like, wow, that's powerful. That's the power of art, um, and energy exchange, and that's why I create.
All right,
So
one
thank you.
more quote, and then I'm going to point out a couple things I think people should pay attention to when they buy it. But the other quote, it's a simple one, but I think it's really powerful. "Success is a journey, not a destination." And I didn't just cheat because it's like in bold and big on the top of the page. So obviously your eyes go to it. But again, not to like, I share this
Yeah.
only because A, I want you to see how parallel you and I are. But also I want to like draw attention to, like, I'm not the only person who says this stuff. So I talk about how the authentic life is not a destination. It's like an evolution, like getting to your authentic life, because we evolve and we have new experiences that teach us new things, or we meet new people that, like, constructing what your authentic life looks like could be a destination. Like, that's where I want to go, but it's not. And that's why I have this side brand called Pursuit. Like, it's the pursuit of the authentic life. Like, you're always going to be pursuing this authentic life because it's not a destination. It's a revolution, or it's an evolution. It's a journey. So, what is, like, success is a journey, not a destination.
I like
Like,
that.
how, like, what does that mean to you beyond just the baseline of it?
Yeah, to me, it's about the pursuit. It's about engaging in the perseverance of experience. The perseverance of experience contributes a lot to the essence of our life. And the idea of knowing that you and I have overcome every challenge that we've faced up until this point, to the point where it didn't take us out. It didn't. The challenge didn't overcome us. You know, I'm sure we all are working on some specific things right now in our lives, but no challenge has overcome us, right? So up to this point, we're winning. So it's like that acknowledgement and that expression, and anybody that can hear that and agree with that in this moment is also winning in their life, right? Um, that right there allows me to understand that winning is a process. And as long as today I'm existing and moving closer to what I believe is my version of success, everybody's is different, but it's like it's not a benchmark or a final thing that we can ever reach, because when we get to that point there's going to be something else that we desire to achieve, because that's human nature. And that's kind of what that means, is it's our nature to be winners and continue winning, not just to say we won. I mean, we all know that person that just talks about the things they used to do. You know, I barely even talk about my football days, unless it's a relevant part of the conversation, because it's like, that was back then. That's cool to talk about then, but what have you done for me lately? What's going on right now? Who are you today? That's more exciting. Not to discount anything, but something that I was telling my coaching clients earlier today is that it's so much more important for us to make decisions from the perspective of where we're going, not from the perspective of where we've been. Not from the perspective of who we used to be, but from the idea and the image and understanding of our future self, our superstar self, the person that's achieved all the things that we're moving towards. Make decisions from that person's mindset, and success is inevitable. So that was a kind of a lesson that we were teaching on, but it leads me back to this point you made about success being a journey and not a destination. Is just making decisions that are going to continue to move you forward closer to your version, an ideal version of success. your highest version of yourself, your most self-actualized, self-realized you. That's really what it's all about, and then enjoying every moment on the way, because you're always going to be achieving. It's part of our human nature to just continue doing more. That's another abundance alert right there.
All right, a few parts of the book I want to point out. So when you get your copy, the success keys. There's a lot of good keys to success there. The abundance wheel. That was another abundance alert. You even have that on the page. So I want to point that out. And then the keys to living your why. And I feel like everything else we talked about was way more important than having you explain that because you explained it in the book. So I just want to draw people's attention to those sections amongst everything else. So I'll make sure links in the bio. Again, I already talked about it in the intro. But I want to thank you, Bijan, for joining me on the podcast, sharing your wisdom, sharing your energy, sharing your light, because this was awesome. Is there anything that you want to kind of conclude the conversation with?
Well, I just want to leave everybody with a lot of encouragement. Just know that I believe in you. I believe you can do anything and all things, and want you to always choose joy, prioritize peace and positivity in your life. And then I have a
For
question for
sure.
you, Justin. Sum it up any way you want to. What is your why?
Man, I had a feeling you were going to ask that. My why stems down to one word, and it's impact. So, and I can elaborate that to like everything that I want to do. I want to make an impact on the world and on people. So everything, anybody who comes in contact with me, I want to know that I made a positive impact in their life, and that allows me to, in that blanket definition, be a good father, be a good husband, be a good financial advisor, be a good creator, just be a good human being. So impact is my big why. What's yours?
I love that. So, my why is to use all of my God given gifts to uplift the world more abundantly. And the way I choose to do that could have been a neurosurgeon, but I choose to make art. And this season of my life is really focused on authoring and publishing books and written works as well as music. So I have some music projects. I make music under the name Lambo Mach, and Lambo Mach music is streaming on all platforms, so you can check that out. And it's just about uplift and higher energy, crescendo, peace, positivity, creation music. And it's like house based, kind of abstract music, definitely some hip hop influences as well. But is to focus on the written works and the music and using those to reach as many people as I possibly can, at a high level with this consistent message of purpose and abundance mentality, combined to live the best and highest version of you and your most abundant life possible. So, like, in purpose, on purpose, abundance alert. That's the why. Making art so everybody can be in purpose, on purpose, more abundantly. That's it. And I want to thank you, Justin, for this opportunity to share. Thank you for being a believer. Thank you for supporting this dream and this vision. And by having that book, you inspire an entire generation, tens of billions of more creative products and ideas from me to the world. So thank you for your support and your show of love and this opportunity to come and speak to you and your friends on this beautiful podcast. I'm very grateful.
You
So
are
thank you.
welcome, and the thank you in return. And I'm not done supporting you. I'm going to need to get a piece of art for my podcast studio to go up next to Tony's stuff. So we'll figure that offline. So, all
I
right, Bijan,
got
I
you.
want to thank you again. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. And I'll catch up with you hopefully later this month over in Columbus.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon. Peace and blessings abundantly, everyone.